Teofimo was actually better than what I expected him to be.
It's the first time I've been impressed by Teofimo, to be honest.
I think that's the best fight I've seen him fight.
I think his power is overrated.
Well, I think at this weight, yeah.
It wasn't a close fight in the end. But no,
I think the 10th round he caught up a bit, or 10th or 11th, it was a bit closer, but then he was still ahead.
I don't even think he's big enough. Thing is Lopez-Ennis is a massive fight.
Welcome back to BoxCast. In this episode, we're going to look at the results of the weekend in Fatal Fury, starting with the first day's fights and Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza Jr. Teofimo won by unanimous decision. I think the correct result.
Yeah.
Teofimo was actually better than what I expected him to be.
It's the first time I've been impressed by Teofimo, to be honest.
I think that's the best fight I've seen him fight.
Quick.
It's the only other one I've seen him good. I think we've seen him in was against Josh Taylor, where he was professional. But I think he was better in this. A better opponent has sort of brought out a more professional, like what you'd expect him to do for his hype, isn't it? A professional performance.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what he needs. The opponent in front of him. I mean, we know Barboza Jr. is a good, solid opponent after what he did to Jack Catterall. But yeah, Teo did it. His 1-2s were lovely.
It was professional. He was. I think the problem for Barboza was he didn't have the speed or the footwork to keep up with Teo, and he didn't have the bang, pop in his punches into like a single punch to get in to slow down. Although he was loading up some of his punches rather than going fast, isn't it? And Teo I think the game plan was really good. They fought from the outside. He popped him. Didn't go for like the knockout. It was just a boxing, using his speed and his movement. Professional performance, isn't it? And that's the best I've seen him perform, I think, of all the... I know we get like haters and our comments and people giving comments like you're underrating him. But I think if he'd fought like he has in some of his fights, Barboza would have had him. But I think in here he raised his game.
That was at 140, wasn't it?
It was at 140. Well, we'll remember that. We're going to bring up a point about the weight, isn't it? Because I think we've discussed off camera, but yeah, after...
No, we don't. I mean...
To be fair in this, Lopez was not running, but he was moving around well. But he still remembered that I've got a punch, which is going to be relevant to the other fights we're going to talk about.
He just... No, it's like I say, I think his footwork and his speed, that 1-2 he was constantly throwing was...
A variety of punches was quite good as well.
Majestic at times.
I mean, Barboza did catch up to him a bit. And like if he sees Teo's face afterwards...
Barboza hurt him a couple of times.
I think he was loading up. I think he realised I haven't got the speed to pop what I normally do. So I need to load up. When I catch him, at least load up and slow him down a bit. Unfortunately, he didn't get enough on him to slow him down enough.
No, it was just...
But I don't think this was because Barboza was bad. I think Teofimo raised his game. Barboza was Barboza and Teofimo raised his game and was just better. It's just his speed, movement, and I hate to say it, even ring IQ was good. It's more what you'd expect for somebody with his hype. And I don't think he's done it enough times. I think in the early fights he was popping. And then I think we should get to one of the points I think you mentioned, isn't it, is... Do you think he's got the pop at this weight? Because he's saying he wants to go to 147, welterweight. But I don't think he's got enough. The pop that he had to lower down at 135, I don't think he's got at this. He's got enough to, like, obviously slow the person down, but he hasn't got that one punch power, do you think? Or is he just being, like, professional and he hasn't got... Because it's not just this fight. He's had a few. I don't think he's got any knockouts at 140, has he? Or not one punch stoppages anyway. Let me just have a look.
Yeah, I think his power is overrated.
Well, I think at this weight, yeah. I don't think he's got...
I think a lot of his power comes from his speed. Because he is incredibly fast hands.
He's very athletic and fast.
And I think
his movement was better in this than
I think that's
we've seen
where
before.
his power comes from. Is he a one?
Because when he's come to one,
I think he punches hard enough to trouble people.
Yeah, he's got power. I just don't think he's got that like one punch thing that he had like in when he was a
lower
135.
divisions.
Yeah, because if you do this after Cambosos, he came with Pedro Campa. He got a win by knockout, but 7 rounds in. Then he's had Sander Martin, Josh Taylor, Jermaine Ortiz, Steve Claggett, and now Barboza, all by decision. And some of them were quite close. So 140, he hasn't, other than the first fight, he hasn't really got that
Power.
The one punch power. I mean, isn't it? Obviously, he's got power. He's got poke, but like even with Barboza, he wasn't really slowing him down with his punches.
No, but I don't think. I think Barboza's a freak. I think he's got one of them
He's got a good chin,
granite chins.
because he kept coming forward. Like I would have expected it to be the other way in Barboza boxing from the outside, but it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And you didn't really get like that bothered by the power. It just that he wasn't fast enough to upset Teo's rhythm, which I think it's a good. That's why I think it's a good performance. One actually is
because Barboza
nearly
is
as good as he speaks of himself.
Barboza is a tricky, awkward customer, and I could tell Barboza was trying to get Lopez to fight at his speed, and it
didn't. Teo kept it up.
Yeah,
I did think Teo from the beginning. I thought he's going to get tired here, but no, his conditioning and everything was
no,
really
because
good.
he had to be.
He had to be on it because
Yeah.
I think if he had, Barboza changes it.
Yeah, if he does go down to Barboza's speed, Barboza wins it for me.
Yeah.
But no, it finally, like, it wasn't. I mean, don't get me. It wasn't like a masterclass performance. It was a really solid professional
took advantage of
performance.
his athletic abilities,
Yeah.
his speed and movement with his feet, his speed with his hands, because he has got quick hands, and it was like a mature performance where he stuck to his game plan and didn't go off things, and he kept it going for the 12 rounds. And Barboza was game, but I just think he wasn't physically capable enough of fast enough in his foot movement and fast enough in hand movement.
He didn't cut the ring off quick enough.
Yeah, he tried, but he didn't, and he couldn't get there. But he took a few punches, but he was solid. I think he did more damage to Teo than the other way around. But Teo did have, comfortably the more punches and stuff, isn't it?
It wasn't a close fight in the end. It was competitive, but wasn't close. And that's the way I'd word it.
Well, I had let me see how to score. I did score them these times. For do as I go along instead of afterwards,
You had it 117, 113 or something, I think.
I had it 117, 111. And I've got good defense and movement, more punches for Teo. And Barboza brought the best out of Teo. That's my comment on it.
Yeah.
117. I gave, there's a couple of clear rounds, isn't it, for them? I think Barboza had the better of some of the shots.
I haven't got my score. I don't know if I called a couple of draw rounds. I know you're not meant to do that, but when you can't separate them.
Well, I think if there was 2 straight rounds, I sort of like which one did the bit better work and swapped them in it. So I give like Teo the first, Barboza the second. Then Teo came on top, although the third round was close. And then a couple of rounds to Barboza. And then basically, but the thing is, he just, as it went on, Teo just got better. The latter rounds, basically, I've given the last 5 rounds to Teo.
Yeah, but I think 117, 111, I think mine was.
Yeah, the same score.
Yeah.
That's what I've got. Some of the rounds you can swap because it just depends what you like, because they were that close. And I think it's only the latter rounds from like 7 onwards, I think, or 8 onwards. 7 or 8 onwards, he was clear, where he was like obviously doing the more work. I think the 10th round he caught up a bit, or 10th or 11th, it was a bit closer, but then he was still ahead. And then, but the thing is, in this, the punches, so we'll give because it's relevant for later on fights. So Lopez threw 574. He landed 127, 41 to the body for a 22% increase. Barboza threw 426, landed 71 for about 17% landing. So 54 out of 376 jabs, 19 to the body for Teo. 73 power punches, 22 to the body out of 198. So his power punch ratio was quite good, 37%. And Barboza was 38 jabs out of 238, 10 to the body, and 33 out of 188 power punches, 6 to the body. So power punch is a bit better than the jab, but like, yeah. So landing, both of them had good defense. There wasn't that many, but at least they threw. That's like nearly 1,000 punches over the fight, which is not a bad output, is it, for that sort of weight class? Not landed enough, but well, Sai gets worse as we go along to the next fights. That's the only reason I mention it. So, yeah. What next? Because there's talk of Teo going up to 147. Now, the point I think you were bringing up is, has he got the pop, the power for 147?
Well, he's called out Boots Ennis, hasn't he?
Yeah. And Boots Ennis is a big 147. He's really a 154 guy.
To have Boots Ennis, I'd take that fight straight away.
Yeah.
Because Boots Ennis is...
Well, do you know, you're a Boots fan more than me. I'm not the biggest fan of him. But I was sat there thinking, after all of them, thinking the only guy I'd be worried about there is Rowley. I think any of the others step up to 147, I'd smash them.
They're not big enough.
Yeah.
They're not big
the
enough.
The only one who was big enough is Rowley. Romero.
I don't even think he's big enough to go up.
Well, I think he had the pop at that. He's got enough power to get out thing.
No, I don't think he has.
Would not necessarily fight, like I said, Ennis is big, but I think other than him, and he's probably got the speed on him and skill level, but on any of the others, as fast as Teo and Thingy is, could you really... Ennis is faster than Barboza.
Ennis is much faster than Barboza.
Yeah, and he's probably similar, even if Teo's a little bit, but he's going
much
to catch
longer
him.
reach.
Yeah,
Phenomenal
physically
jab.
going to be better.
Absolute phenomenal job.
And he's got a really good chin, as Barboza has. So, like, if you can't damage him, I'm not seeing what you're really going to do at 147.
Let's find
let me
out.
just find the other champions of 147, a welterweight. So, Thingy's got two, isn't he, Ennis? Yeah, Brian Norman Jr., and then there's Barrios, isn't it? I think is the champion. Brian Norman Jr., yeah.
I mean,
Barrios.
if it was Lopez... Thing is Lopez Ennis is a massive fight.
That's the biggest fight.
It is a huge fight, that.
Well, my point was barely, here's some big names, but that I should be able to take out. So you can have some big fights at 147, and realistically, he's probably more than capable of taking any of them out if they step up to that weight, because none of them really impressed me at that. I said, other than Rowley looks physically that he is that big, and he's got a bit of, and he's carried his power. I think the others were all, as skilled as Teo is, I don't think he's got that much chance against him.
Do you mean Teo would back himself?
Well, obviously.
He would really would back himself.
I think that'd be a good fight, though, to be fair. I think it would be close. I just think Ennis will have too much. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Ennis fan, but I'm not the biggest Teo fan either.
I just think Ennis's jab just wins.
I think physically he's just going to be too big and powerful. And he hasn't got that. He has got the footwork and the speed of hand.
And he's got the power.
Yeah, and he's got a good chin. So it's like, if you haven't got the pop to keep holding him off, I think he's just going to wear you down and get, you can dance for a little bit, but he's going to start catching you, and his punches you'll feel.
Yeah, but if I was Ennis, I'd take that fight. It's a massive fight in the States.
Yeah.
Huge fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd be licking your lips thinking, all right, I've got some names to fight now. I can make some big fights and I can whip all of these.
Yeah,
this is not a problem.
Fight. Might get it made. That is a great fight.
Yeah.
Or do they throw Lopez in with Barrios, maybe?
I think the sensible thing, if you were a Lopez's person, you'd have a tune-up fight. Or the guy I think they probably want to all look at is Barrios, because they think he's the weaker of the champions.
Don't always count Barrios out, man.
Well, I was going to say, I think all of them, Barrios, Brian Norman Jr. and Ennis, are all big. Even Stanionis was big. He'd be trouble. I think all of them would give trouble to most of these. So, at least from their last performances.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the others as well, innit? So, yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of Teo's performance, what of Barboza's performance in the comments. And what do you think he should do? Do you think he should stick at 140 or... is he right in going up to welterweight?
I mean, he's
147?
still got some big fights at 140.
Yeah. Well, I would look at this performance, say you've got the fights there. I wouldn't be that keen on going up. Because I've got another one, but we'll do it because we're going to speak about his potential opponent in the next fight. We might as well mention the name in it. So I think him and Haney. But Haney was going at 147. But to be honest, I don't think he's really 147 guy.
I don't think he makes a weight anymore, though.
But he never had any part of 140, so I don't think he's got that much pop at 147.
But Haney's not a power puncher, he never has
He's
been.
a boxer, apparently.
But he is. But no, what I did notice, he never plants his feet, Haney. So
Well, should we start? We'll do that if I give me 1 second to bring up his... So it was Devin, Haney and Jose Carlos Ramirez. A unanimous decision to Haney. Again, I think that's probably the correct decision. Well, not probably, it is the correct decision.
yeah.
Now, just as a contrast, we're basically Haney and Ramirez threw about, I think, combined less punches than Teo threw by himself. So this is half as much. I think they were getting close to. This could be one of all the fights that CompuBox has done the stats for, like 15,000 plus. I think this is nearly one of the lowest output ones of all their fights at any weight class.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Snorefest and a half.
Haney's got demons, hasn't he?
Yeah. He didn't look like he wanted to get hit by anything. Take any risks at all.
I mean, don't get me wrong, not getting hit it's part of boxing. So
But you're supposed to hit the other guy as well.
you give him...
There's two parts to the equation.
If you want to be... He didn't get hit, so that's an A star. Fantastic, yeah, he didn't get hit. He won every round for me pretty convincingly.
Well, I'll give you my score as well. I don't think I gave him every round because I gave him nearly every round. No, I got 116, 112, and I've wrote boring, and then the emoji for going to sleep.
You're obviously giving Ramirez a lot of credit.
No, I was just like, let me see. So the first round was a draw, but he threw more punches, so I gave it to Ramirez. Then 4 to Haney. 4 or 5 to Haney, yeah. And then one round where they were pretty close, so I gave it to Ramirez, only because he was the aggressor. So I gave him credit for being the aggressor rather than... So there's about, I think there's 3 or 4 rounds where they were close. But because he was more aggressive, so where Haney lowered his output by a few or didn't throw enough punches, I've basically given him to Ramirez just because he was at least trying to throw punches.
I don't know.
It's the 4th fewest in CompuBox history for a 12-round fight. 503 punches. Like I said, Barboza threw nearly that many, and Teo by himself threw more than that.
Well, I mean,
yeah, it was a Haney win.
It was a Haney win. And
comfortably. Ramirez at least did try to take the fight and go, but it's the same issue. Wasn't fast enough.
I mean, and you don't want to
Didn't
get
close
hit.
off the ring enough.
So, like you say, but
the problem is you're trying to sell a fight, which one I think arranging fights afterwards is not right, but that's a separate conversation. You're trying to sell the fight, and yeah, you won, but like there was no entertainment. There was less than 0 entertainment value in that.
I mean, but this is how Haney boxes.
Well, he's not as bad as that normally. Because he doesn't normally throw punches.
You know, I think he's been out the ring for however long.
I think both him and Garcia suffered from being out the ring for too long.
And I think Haney's got a lot of demons, and I think he's going to take a couple of fights to get rid of them demons.
Yeah.
The problem being, you ain't going to be box office now, mate.
Yeah.
Because that was
Well, if you look at all our videos, the one we get the lowest
boring.
views on is Haney's ones. Every time.
because he
Because I don't think anybody's interested.
He's a fantastic boxer. He is. But he's boring.
Yeah.
Absolutely boring.
There's nothing there. Like, all right, we joke about Teo, but like, to be honest, I do look forward to Teo fights. You know, we're not against them. We just don't like, we like to rip it to get a few
Teo's
views.
fights are always entertaining.
He's entertaining in the build-up. He's entertaining in the fight. Either way it goes, he's entertaining. Even his boring fights are entertaining.
But Haney, Jesus.
That was a snooze fest. That wasn't an advert to sell a fight. That was an advert to put you off a fight. And, yeah.
The only good thing is...
Go on, I'm gonna give you... Shall I give you stats? Oh, go on, carry on, say what you say.
And again, yeah, we are going to come on to Garcia Romero, but everyone's saying, oh, the Haney-Garcia fight's ruined now. It's not, because both of them were that awful.
Well, the thing is, the Haney-Garcia fight was really, really good. Oh,
yeah.
Forget the controversy bit. As a entertainment, that was fantastic.
I'd still do it.
Well, it says Romero said, I haven't destroyed anything. Obviously, we're going to do his fight. I think that makes sense for both of them. And
Ramirez...
I think they need to get rid of the demons.
I mean, I reckon he must have, he was just chasing shadows, Ramirez, the whole fight, wasn't he?
He tried. You got to give him that. That's why I said he was the aggressor
he was
most of the fight.
Just chasing shadows.
I think Haney was a level above in
pretty
skill.
Badly wrong.
What did we actually have for the Teo?
Well, to be fair, I just said that.
Did we have Teo winning, or did I have Barboza?
I'll have
a look in a second.
I think I said, basically...
I think I had Haney on points.
It's all lambs to the slaughter. And I was wrong. Because they were competitive-ish fights. I thought they were just going to be basically pretty live opponents for Garcia and Haney, just so they can...
Well, we fought like Teo, where you got to give him a good opponent. We'll bring the best out of them. So, to be fair, Barboza brought the best out of Teo. So, obviously, he's a good live opponent and it's a good fight. It wasn't so much of a fight, but it's a good boxing class. Go on, what did we have anyway? Did I say Barboza or did I say Teo? I think I said if Teo turns up, he wins. Because I haven't written them down myself.
I had Haney by wide points. You had it close points.
So we're in the middle. Between the two of us, we got there. So
yeah.
What do we have to Teo and Barboza?
We haven't wrote it down.
Yeah, I haven't written it down either. We'll have to look through it.
Maybe we didn't make one.
Anyway, we'll check. We'll check on the
I think I put Lopez wins by KO. And you put points.
Points for Teo, I think.
Possibly. But
just... I would add points, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, do you know what?
Although I might have said Barboza because we did get told off a bit in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really talk about the fight much, can you? Because it was just...
Well, they give you the stats in it.
Dire.
224 punches thrown by Haney, 70 landed, 6 in the body. And Ramirez actually threw a bit more, 279, but 40 landed, 11 on the body. So at least he was like trying, I said, but that's like, it's 503 punches, 4th lowest in CompuBox history. And like, yeah, they landed as many jabs as you should realistically probably do in a couple of rounds in the whole fight. And there's like rounds with like, it's like 2-2, 3-2, 7-6, 5-2, 6-2, 7-6, 8-4, 9-2, 6-3, 4-5, 8-4, 5-2. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do Garcia Romero next, and then I'll tell you the whole event conclusion.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. We might as well bring it on to Garcia, because obviously this was supposed to be a setup for Haney versus Garcia.
Yeah.
So let me just bring his up. So this was a unanimous decision to Romero. So So I'll give you my score in this. What did I score it? I had 117, 110 to Romero. Yeah. I mean, the best bit of the fight was the knockdown in the second round. Other than that, again, it wasn't, but at least there's a bit of try. But this one had 490 combined punches, 490, the third fewest in a 12-round fight. So you've got the third fewest and the fourth fewest in the 40-year history of 12-round fights between the two super guys who're supposed to make it advertising their fight.
Yeah, I'll come on to Romero in a minute.
Yeah. Garcia just didn't look like he was comfortable at even walking up and doing.
He's either completely fell out of love with the sport.
Yeah.
He's off the peds, as everyone's saying. You know, is the weight the issue? I don't know. He just didn't really look that interested.
I think it's more mental than physical.
Yeah.
The size-wise, they looked okay. I don't think he looked like weight drained. I think he said himself in his.
Has he just gone through?
I think it's just a year out.
He's gone through a lot in the past 12 months, let's be honest. You know, because before the Haney fight, he was acting like a man who was, let's be honest, a bloody nutcase.
Yeah. Without all his marbles.
Even during that fight, it was like, I mean, apart from the knockdowns on Haney, it was...
Well, Haney was probably winning apart from the knockdowns. It's the knockdowns that brought the fight back to him, isn't it? But I mean, there was a good fight between the two of them.
Yeah, it was.
Because I think that was like the top end of Haney, and you've got the best of him with
but he's had
punch.
A few months out, obviously, he then gets done for performance-enhancing things. He's, pleaded guilty, paid his fine, whatever. Funny how no one mentions that. But,
Well, I think a fair few people did, but
he's allowed to fight, and Conor Benn the other week, everyone's still saying he shouldn't be allowed to fight. He failed the drug test, but he seems to like to forget about Garcia failed drug test, Canelo's failed drug test, Tyson Fury's failed drug test, But that's a different story for another day. I just think, I don't know what it was with Garcia. I don't know whether... Don't get me wrong, Rolly Romero, he did what he needed to do. I think the Saudis have made a massive, massive mistake, though. Having a fight in Times Square just in front of elite guests, it was not good. No atmosphere at all. And I think that
might have affected it a bit as well.
I think that has affected,
the drive
the
was
boxes.
quite large. Because they were saying you got to warm up in the hotel, and then you got to huge drive up.
There's no atmosphere at all. No screaming crowd to cheer you on. It was horrendous. Yeah, I get it. It's an experiment. Please don't ever do it again. It was like, all right, when Eddie Hearn did it in lockdown.
But I think that was more a forced hand.
Yeah, but it did expose it. It exposed a lot of fighters that they do need a crowd behind them and get going. So don't do it again, because it was. I mean, I genuinely. I mean, I watched it the following morning just after I woke up, and I was still nodding back off to sleep because it was just dull. It's just. Dull.
Well, I think the problem is they've got fights that weren't there. Now, whether that's one of the reasons for doing it, I think Garcia has hinted a little bit of that. And but I think he's just said he wasn't there. He couldn't feel it, so he wasn't there.
No, you're not going to.
And, I said I think the only guy who's really looking at the weight is Romero, because I seen him when he was coming out, and you see his back muscles and stuff, and he's thinking... yeah, this guy because he doesn't look like somebody who's added on weight to go by class. He looks like somebody
He had a lot of
ripped in that class. You know, he had a lot of.
He had a lot of confidence, Rolly, and he, you know, just the infamous videos of them sparring, whatever, how many years ago.
I don't think that made that much difference. I think it was just more he was ready for the fight and Garcia wasn't.
Yeah, and I just think Rolly had his
he was
number
actually
anyway.
filled out of that weight properly. Looked like he should have been a welterweight. Garcia still was like. It's not completely clean ripped, isn't it? Romero looked like he was jacked, like he'd been on the special substances. But I think he's big anyway, and he's carried his power. And I think he looks like a proper welterweight. And Garcia just couldn't cope because he couldn't bully him with the size. Romero's looked really strong, and he was. And I think once Garcia tasted his power, he just went into a shell, and that's it. Boom.
Because Garcia can't take a punch though anyway.
Yeah. And I think then he just didn't have anything, and Romero just played out the rounds, just did enough to get.
Yeah, they tactically really good.
Yeah.
Romero, tactically really good. Because
he basically fought with his hand here, like his right hand on the chin, so he couldn't get caught by his best punch.
Left
and then
hook.
just left.
Yeah.
Left hook, lead offs, left jabs, whatever, bam, 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 and just did the duty.
Yeah, upset the apple cart. I mean, I thought to be like, I'll apologise now to Romero. I thought Garcia was just going to be far too.
I think we both had a KO win, innit?
Yeah, far too quick for him.
But we went on Garcia's last performance and some of Romero's.
Garcia was not there.
Yeah.
He really, really wasn't. And on March's Rolly, great win.
Well, he's a WBA. Let me just check. Is he the contender now or whatever, the welterweight, isn't he? Well, they haven't updated it yet, isn't it? But I think he's now the WBA, like the normal world champion, isn't he? Whatever the thing is, interim champion.
Regular
champion, that's the word. So he's basically, he'd be mandatory for Inst there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a good win for him, but it wasn't the Ryan Garcia that I think everyone knows.
Well, but this was the biggest shock in it, because I think when we said it was the betting, was he's plus 700 or something, 7-1. And Garcia was the heavy favourite. I think this was the least 50-50 fight of the three, and the one with the shock. We knew there was going to be a shock, so...
Yeah, and I did, like I say, I didn't realise how Times Square was going to be. When I realised it was only like guests, and then I knew there was going to be shocks, because a lot of these fighters, like Garcia and that, they do thrive on the crowd. And like, I'm not saying that's why, you've still got to, but
I think it's a combination of things, and he hasn't turned up. I think he hasn't got going because there's no crowd, or a big enough crowd to make the things. I think also the setup and the distance you've got to come and stuff. You warm up and then you got to go huge like distance to go to get there.
It's just a bit weird for me.
And I think Romero just... The funny thing is, did you watch like some of their chats before? The weird bit for me was thinking, Rolly Romero's like the most sensible out the whole lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, in the press conferences,
I was sick of that in the press conference. He's the one actually talking the most common sense.
Yeah, and I think he just...
And he's the one sort of people thought you've just been added on.
Yeah.
And he's probably done the best performance.
I did, to be fair. And you know what? The way it was in Times Square most probably suited Rolly Romero really, really well. Nice and quiet.
I don't think he was fazed by it.
He loved it. I think he loved how quiet it was.
The fact of being like underdog and everything, and then he's pulled out. But like I said, he's the one who looked to me to be the proper welterweight. The one where you looked at him for physically, yeah. Because we know he's got pop before, isn't it? But like you see his physique compared to Ryan's, and it's like, yeah, that's proper welterweight physique. All the others look like they've got a bit of padding. He looked like he was lean and mean at the weight. And then, yeah, we seen what he did. Because it was there's 2 hooks right in quick contention that knocked him down.
Yeah.
And I think that just put whatever plan Garcia had, and if he was going to open up, he just put him back to reset him, and then he didn't do anything of any use.
No, but Romero was very, very clever. Like you say, he kept that hand up.
He just put a disciplined form and never took any risk after that. Thought, I'm ahead. What do I need to do? And Garcia never really, other than a round or two where he lifted it, where he had a little bit of a go, didn't really do anything.
Very, very. It was just.
Did I say the score I had?
It was just strange, the whole event, to be fair.
Yeah, 110, 170 we said, isn't it?
Yeah.
So really? I think Garcia had a couple, and then I think after the knockdown he had a little bit of a go.
Like you say, the Garcia and Haney, it's still a massive fight, isn't it?
Even I think they need to wake both of them up, but then it's a massive fight. And then maybe what gets them back on track.
It's still it is a huge fight. It's still one that I'd go, oh yeah, let's see it again. So they can make it again. No problem at all, even after both of them horrendous performances. Because I think Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, that's a horrendous fight as well. That is a bore fest, that. So please don't make that fight.
I think like a Romero Barrios would make more sense.
Possibly.
For one of the belts. And I think Brian Norman Jr.'s got a fight coming up in June.
He's against Sasaki or something.
And then he's got to come through that. I think he's fighting in Tokyo or whatever, or somewhere else. He's doing something anyway. So I think once they come through that, then have a look at it.
But it's up to the Saudis now.
Yeah.
They might throw Lopez in with Romeo.
Teo. I think Teo will avoid him.
Who knows? Like I said, Garcia.
I think Teo Nad's going for big fights, isn't he? So he's going to go after Ennis. If Ennis does get tied up that way, which I think is the biggest fight on name of all of them, I think Romero then a Barrios or somebody would get a belt while if Boots is busy.
Like, unfortunately, it is up to the Saudis. They'll have a plan. Have they got a contingency plan for what has happened? Does it make any difference what has happened with Garcia losing? Is Haney Garcia still a big, huge fight?
Well, I think if they'd have performed...
It makes it a bit more interesting, though, doesn't it? Don't you think?
I think that's the only fight worth making between them, innit? Because they've got to sort of... get themselves back on track. Because even though Haney won, it's like you said, he's not box office draw. Garcia still is, because he's entertaining.
Garcia and Haney now
are
coming, whether Haney won or not. The criticism them two are going to get is huge. So the way to stop that criticism, fight each other.
Yeah, but on a show like the first one, but without so much controversy.
I don't think they're going to do it against... They are massive names, so they can't go and fight.
Well, it's hard. You have tune-ups when you're...
Yeah, they can't. They really, really can't. Maybe they should have had the tune-ups before this.
Well, event. I think that's what they're saying. I think, and you've always been a big bugbear of it, the inactivity has killed them both.
Yeah. I thought, to be fair, that this was tune-up fights for them.
Yeah, I think
I did think that.
Well, I think a lot of people, Romero was definitely. I think Ramirez, they thought, yeah, it's alive, but
so
they're like tough tune-up fights. Like, you should get back on track. But if you don't turn up, you can't do it. And if you've got demons, it's not. You can win, but like it's not exactly.
It'd be interesting to see what happens next. For all the fighters on there, they've all still got. I mean, Ramirez, I'm not too sure where he goes next. Barboza, he can come back and challenge for another world title. Haney needs to have a serious word with himself. Or literally tie him to a wall and get people to punch him. So he gets used to it.
You get used to it, yeah. Get back to used to fighting.
Garcia... I think it's mental with him because he's fantastic skills.
Yeah, I just don't think he was there because he's a better fighter than that. I mean, you could see either of them winning. Romero might still have beaten him, but like Garcia never turned up.
But
But if it had been a proper fight, and you think, yeah, it was just
at 147, none of them do anything for me.
Romero's the only one who looks like he belongs at 147.
None of them do anything for me. If they're all talking about moving up, like Lopez included.
Well, Garcia, I think that's probably is his proper size. He's probably a little bit in between, but I think he needs to get the mental part and physical part correct. And he has got the pop and stuff to do it, and the speed.
Has he though?
Well, I don't know if he's got the mental part. I think the rest he can get.
Has he got the power? I don't know.
Well, he hasn't shown it there, but he has shown it before, and he has got power. And
but
speed.
He's also got vulnerability.
Yeah, he's defensively open, but we've seen that there, isn't it?
He's been knocked down multiple times during his career.
But he usually comes back. And I think he said the worst one was against Luke Campbell, where he got properly, he goes, that's the only time I've really been properly dazed. And he goes, I got up thinking, what day is it? I'm still dazed. But he's still come back to win that
Do you
fight.
know, I tell you something, and I'm going to throw him in the mix here, and a lot of people might not like this. Conor Benn would love a scrap of any of these.
But do you think, I was thinking about this morning, do you think it's because we've had the Ben and Eubank fight that spoiled us to a proper boxing match?
Look,
because that was a proper fight.
Thing is, and I think,
and these have all been a letdown.
British boxing is flying.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a fight on British soil in a stadium, there's nothing like it in the world, and I think every boxer will tell you that. I know people say, Madison Square Garden, Las Vegas, but a stadium fight in Britain is...
Well, I'm just going to give you a stat.
It's something that, the British crowd is just unbelievable. So just make all the fights over in Britain from now on, I think.
Well, I think people have got to turn up to fight. I think Ben and Eubank turned up to fight. Well, it would give you the things. Eubank Jr. threw 912 punches. Ben threw 593. So you like 1,500 punches in a fight. And then they landed 215 and 367. So they landed more punches combined than they were thrown in the other two fights.
Joe Calzaghe threw over 1,000 punches against Jeff Lacey.
But just to give the comparison for people who are like,
but
if
again,
you're thinking it's ridiculous.
A massive crowd environment, that is going to G you on.
Mm-hmm.
Just have all the fights in the UK from now on, I think.
Not a bad shout.
And I think the Saudis, I understand the Saudis experimenting with different things. I do. And you've got to experiment, otherwise you don't find out what works, what doesn't. I think they'll realise that didn't work. For me, that didn't work.
Mm.
As a show, even if I think they had Fury Usyk on, I don't think it'd have worked in that environment. Or Better BF Bivol. It doesn't work in that environment. Don't do it again, is what I'd say.
Well, I think they can try, but that one was a mediocre.
To be fair, them fights there, they're all big names. It should have been in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Or in Las Vegas, with a big crowd and really got the atmosphere going. And I think you'd have seen that even more out the fighters then. I might be wrong.
So you think it suffered from the COVID lockdown syndrome?
Yeah, I just didn't. But again, I go back to the week before when I felt like I was in the crowd at Tottenham. You could hear the screaming. It was fantastic. The gasps,
But I think do you think it's a bit of both? Because obviously those guys turned up to fight. Like you said, you got to the audience is good, but 1,000 punches difference between their fight and some of these. All right, Teo's is fair enough. That's about normal. 1,000 is normally what you get.
Yeah.
So we let him off, and Barboza.
I'm going to let them all off until I see them again in a proper.
But no, I think Haney and Garcia deserve a bit of credit.
But none of them.
Romero, I think was okay. Ramirez tried, so I have nothing against them. I think Haney and Garcia trying to sell a big fight let themselves down.
And what I will say is, I think none of them at 147.
Romero's the only one I think is
beat Boot Ennis.
I don't think he beats it. Yeah. But I think Romero is the only one for me who looks like he belongs at welterweight.
Yeah.
And probably that is probably his division, but because I think he looked a bit weight drained here. He looked like he was on it, and like I said, his physique looks like he's properly 147.
Yeah.
All the others look like they've just, and none of them look like they got any pop apart from him.
No, so yeah.
So yeah, credit to him. Teo, credit. I know you think we don't like him. We do really. But you like him when he shows up and does performs, like he can perform. The problem is when he doesn't show up and it's just like passing the time, like Haney's done and think he's done.
And
you
it
can't
wasn't
respect
bloody
him.
box office, I'm telling you that for a fact as well. $80 bloody wasn't worth it. Want my money back.
Well, UK wasn't so bad. It was 35 combined for the two.
I want my money back.
But I think
I want my money back.
Our next video is going to be on the next event, so we'll talk about that.
I want my refund.
Well, we're probably going to do two. We'll do the undercard and Canelo and Skull.
There was more action in one round with bloody Ben Eubank than there was in this.
There was more action in the first round, which is the feeling out round in that fight, than I think there was in
it was
all
hot
this.
billed as a weekend of fatal fury. It was fatal
Boredom.
Yeah, fatal boredom. And like I say, we're going to do.
We'll do the other videos.
Canelo, the Riyadh, the one that was in Riyadh, but
so in a way, please be in a way. Monster saved the weekend.
I'm warning you all now. If you haven't seen it, every fight in that was a bloody bore fest as well. So
let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did you think the venue did it prove to be decisive in making this a snooze fest? Your thoughts on the fight. What did you think of Romero and Garcia, Haney and Ramirez and Teo and Barboza? Who would you like to see them fight next now after these performances? Do you think Haney and Garcia should get it on for the contest? Would you watch now? Would you pay per view or watch it now? And where you think Romero should go, where you think Ramirez is going to go, and what you think Barboza can do as well as Teo, and the overall event. And we shall see you in the second part of these with the second night's events in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.